Hey everyone, Ida from VGP here, and welcome back to Headline Mondays. So, what have you missed this week? Or last week, rather? Well, so when I went to record this last week, I mentioned that I was not going to touch on the breaking news of that Monday. So, what was that breaking news? So, on Monday, it came out that there were assault/harassment charges wedged against Christian Horner at Red Bull Racing by a Red Bull Racing employee. And basically, a lot of with every time that allegations like that come out, of course, a lot of people either are like protecting the person, like coming out and speaking for that person, or disparaging the person that these allegations were lodged against. But I'm not going to touch on that because, I mean, those are just opinions. But what I can tell you is that Red Bull GmbH, the parent company of Red Bull Racing, which, side note, Christian Horner is CEO and team principal of Red Bull Racing, which will become important in a second. So basically, the parent company of Red Bull Racing has now hired an outside investigator to investigate this whole matter, which shows that they're taking it seriously, which they should. And that special investigator actually met with Christian on Friday in London, and it said that the meeting lasted about like 8 or 9 hours, which is great because it shows that they're taking it seriously. But also it meant, because they're taking it so seriously, that there is no true update beyond us just knowing that there was that meeting. And honestly, even though some outlets have said that Red Bull wants this handled before the car launch or before Bahrain, I don't actually see that happening, because also on Wednesday last week, it was announced that Christian was encouraged to step down as team principal. However, he elected to not do that, and meaning we'll likely see him on the pit wall in Bahrain at the car launch, etc., going forward, because Red Bull came out and said, until we found wrongdoing, we can only encourage him to step down, but we can't force him to step down. So he's not out of a job yet, if he ever will be. But what else is there on Monday? Well, we have some good news for females in motorsports, because it came out that F1 Academy drivers, the top 5, will get, at the end of the season, will get super license points. Now, I find this very good because you need super license points in order to be able to enter F1 eventually. And if there is another avenue for drivers to get those points, especially in a all-female series, it encourages and also likely accelerates females' paths to F1, because they can pick up points at another spot. They don't have to necessarily go through F3, F2, or IndyCar, or some other series, or they don't have to have as much experience in those series if they don't want to. And then lastly, on Monday, it was also announced that the sprint format was once again changing. And so this year we will have FP1 on Friday, then we have sprint qualifying, then the cars enter into Parc Ferme, and then Saturday morning we have the sprint race, after which Parc Ferme conditions will be lifted again until after the race qualifying that afternoon. And then Sunday, we have normal race day. So why do I bring up the two Parc Ferme conditions? Because basically, Parc Ferme means you cannot change anything on the car anymore. Like, you cannot touch the car. And last year, that was the case. Teams couldn't touch their cars from Friday afternoon after race qualifying until the race. So if something happened in the sprint on Saturday, they were shit out of luck, basically. Meaning that a lot of the teams were super cautious about going all out in the sprint, because they're like, it's not worth it, it's not as many points, etc. And I hope that with those two Parc Ferme conditions instead of the one, we will actually see teams taking a bit more risks in the sprints. I'm not delusional in saying they will take all the risks, because it's just a sprint, it's not worth as many points, etc. But hopefully there will be some risks. So, Tuesday. On the heel of the Alexander Albon rumors to Red Bull last week, James Vowles, the team principal of Williams, came out and said that Alex was actually contracted with them until 2025, which I'm assuming he said to squash those Red Bull rumors, which is great for Alex. But at the same time, after the Hamilton news, we know that contracts can be broken. So who knows what will happen. And then because of the whole snowball effect that the Hamilton news had, Mercedes also came out and said that they won't be pushing any of their juniors, aka their F2 driver Kimi Antonelli, to step into Hamilton's shoes if they're not ready. So they won't be putting any pressure on junior drivers, which is good to hear, because we've seen in the past, especially with the likes of Red Bull, that oftentimes if a true junior driver is promoted too fast, it sets them up for failure. And I'm glad that Mercedes doesn't want to do that. So, what else? On Wednesday, we had news come out that Stake F1 team is under an investigation, or rather, Stake, title sponsor of Stake F1 team, is under investigation by the Swiss authorities, where Sauber is headquartered, because Stake does not have a operating license in Switzerland, and meaning they can't give money to Sauber. And when the news came out, it was like, everyone was like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Like, are they gonna be dropped as a title sponsor, etc.? And it came out the next day that actually, if they find wrongdoing, it in all likelihood will be a monetary fine of around like $250,000. So not actually that bad, if wrongdoing is found. So what else? On Thursday, Esteban Ocon came out and said, because he used to be a Mercedes junior, or still kind of is, not really, but basically he came out and said that he is dedicated to Alpine, his current team, even though there were rumors of him being poached by Mercedes, etc. So that's good to know. And then in Silverstone news, the track will remain on the calendar for another 10 years. And which is amazing because A, it's a historic track, and B, last year, some voices came out and said that historic tracks shouldn't feel safe in the knowledge that they have a spot on the race calendar just because they're historic tracks. But now with this news, it's really truly a sign that F1 and the FIA actually do care about historic tracks. And then on Friday, we had the Christian Horner meeting. Saturday, though, we had some more sponsorship news, and VCARB, just gonna call them VCARB because Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, mouthful, even though I just said it, announced that Hugo Boss, which last year rumors were swirling that instead of that Hugo Boss was going to be a title sponsor, which they ended up not being, will anyway sponsor them, and especially team gear and stuff like that, similar to probably like Tommy Hilfiger is to Mercedes. And then Aston Martin also came out and announced sponsorship deals with the Financial Times and Region 7 Sea Cruises, which I'm not that surprised about the cruise liner thing, but a newspaper, the Financial Times? But then again, the team owner, Lawrence Stroll, or part team owner, Lawrence Stroll, so that kind of makes sense. Anyway, and then lastly, we have the preseason testing schedule confirmed. It will be from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. local Bahrain time, meaning 2 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard on the February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Hope that overview helped you guys, and you have a good week. See ya.